Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and I have the distinct pleasure and honor of welcoming someone who has not only accomplished so much as an entrepreneur, as a hotelier, as a community leader, and his political awareness led him to determine what is good for America, what is good for Indian Americans. And someone who is joining me all the way from Florida is a well-known name, not only among the community members, but also among members of Republic Party. He is one of the very, very powerful and effective voice that has come up from Indian American community in support of President Trump. What is it that led Denny Gaekwad ji, who is also for his childhood friends, is Dig Vijay Gaekwad. So there is this element of victory associated with the gentleman that you are going to be meeting now on various aspects of life. Denny ji, welcome. Namaste.
Namaste, sir.
So,
and thank you, Ashok ji, for a very kind introduction. I can say I'm a small worker of the party. I believe in the Republican values, and I'm looking forward to give my opinions, which are frank, and sometimes people like it, sometimes they don't, but we are direct to the point rather than we go around to the point, because we are a businessman, so we come to the point rather than building a preface. Because time is
absolutely. So I'm actually a poet, but with you, I'm becoming direct and reaching to the point. Why do you think a lot of people are opposing President Trump through tooth and nail, to the extent that they say if he comes back, it is not good for the soul of the nation? That is exactly what Democratic nominee Biden said.
So let me rephrase it. This is the first time in a 26 years where I've seen that Indian people have come around, very surprisingly, that they saw the light at the tunnel. The leadership of Democratic Party failed to protect their property, liberty, and all of the above. So it's a reverse. This is the first time, and I can tell you from my personal experience, I met candidate Trump here in Ocala in 2016. And there was not much support, sir, at all. I can barely gather 30, 35 people. I have to call. Right now, I have a different group, like a WhatsApp group, US India Impact group, and all kind of groups. I have a ground swelling support. I can say my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups are packed. I couldn't take a people in it. So I don't know. If you look at the main media, they love to portray it as people are opposing it. Of course, there are two sides of every coin. So in my opinion, this is the first election since last 26 years I'm involved, or maybe more, that Indian people have come out, American people have come out and supported. If you look at the last election in 2016, they were even picking the cabinet of Hillary Clinton, that who will be the foreign secretary, who will be the ambassador. So media is not gonna decide. It is very unfortunate that media keep giving the wrong information. That is the only reason I spend my own personal money, and I went on all the Indian channels, as many as most popular, and start putting my own personal message, because I'm sick and tired of media lying. They need to give a news, not create a news. I don't want the anchor's opinion. I want an opinion, what people's opinion. So the media has been changed for the last 5 years. 312 polls were done. 312 polls were done between July 15 and November 3rd. Guess what they were saying? That Trump has already lost by 20 points, 50 points, 30 points. What happened to all those media? I don't know, but they still get paid. In the same glass cabinet they're sitting, which they're totally out of touch with the people. And that proves my point. They will never have predicted. Main media has never predicted recession right, depression right, pandemic correct, anything, because they sit
so
in
Denny, allow me to interrupt you. And I have patiently heard and maintained my smile while you are criticizing media, and I become sort of a party to all these wonderful expressions coming from you for the media. But I agree, there are different views, and diversity is definitely the strength of democracy, whether it is India or America. But if you work with biased or prejudice, then indeed you will stay away from truth. But talking about the truth and fact, President Trump has been very, very candid in labeling the media as fake media at many places, and many times I must admit that he was proven right. uh, but now moving towards another important issue, which is seen as the core issue in this election, that is handling of pandemic, and the criticism comes that he goes by his guts and he doesn't pay enough respect to the scientific approach of dealing with the problem. So, talk to me about your overall analysis of how President Trump has led this country to face this pandemic crisis.
Ashokji, I have a very simple answer for you. This is the only president in entire world. He stopped Chinese travel 1 month before European, Indian, or any continental stuff. This is the same Democratic Party. I have 100 statements that he's a hypocrite, he's this, he has a war with the China, he has a trade war with the China, that's why he's shutting them down, he's doing illegal, he's doing this. Same Congress, same Biden, same Kamala Harris. I mean, give me a break. If the guy stops 1 month before anybody wake up, he had given a perfect guideline. I have those guidelines here, but I can't read all, otherwise it will take a 30 minutes. Very first day, he give a guideline. Wear a mask, do this, do hand sanitize, stop meeting, don't do that. Every safety is with every individual. It's not with the government. This is not a socialist government. This is not a dictator government who wake up in the morning and say, hey, you can't come out of your house. Look at what is happening. The states like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, my fellow friends are filing a bankruptcy, sir. In your state, I have a friend. He had a 22 hotels. He filed on a 4 hotel bankruptcy already. You know why? Because the governor has closed down. And if you look at the Florida state versus the New York state, they are equally 22 million people. No, Florida has a 22 million people. New York has only 19.5 million people. Our fatality rate is 1/3 or maybe more or less than the New York. So what happened? If you shut down, you cram down everything, it didn't happen. Truth of the matter is, pandemic is created by China, not by President Trump. He took the correct step, but media try to tell me now, and the election people gonna tell me, oh, he didn't take a step. What step you would have taken different? You took the step, you shut down the businesses for 6 months, you locked down gyms, schools, everything. Everything is falling apart. Did you know I'm a vice chairman for the Visit Florida? You may not know that. Visit Florida is the body which does marketing for the Florida state. What I learned that we are getting for last 11 years, 1,000 people a day from New York side. Did you know New York had the most seats after California? Now New York has lost the population and Florida has gained the population. We have 29 congressmen, New York has 29. If you can't wake up and smell a rose, you gotta be a wrong leader. Your people are leaving your state. There are no U-Hauls left. It takes a month. My friend is moving from New York. And I told him, why is it taking you long? He said, my God, the U-Haul company and the riders, and they are packed for a month because people are moving. The streets are garbage. The police is letting your property loot. What is the COVID has to do with the loot?
Allow me to interrupt again. And
so hold on. Let me finish my point.
Because you are talking about New York, and I'm here in New York, and what you are saying is not matching with what I see through my own eyes. So it is not that bad as you are portraying. So
you may be living in a good area. That's why you may not be living in a junk. And I can give you the pictures today to prove my point. You see the Fifth Avenue is boarded down with the boards because people are afraid that people are gonna steal them, and they did stole. But COVID has nothing to do with the looting. If it's a COVID, stay in the home. If you're telling me stay home, but no, you can come out to loot during the COVID. Thousands of you can come out and loot. And then you said, no, stop. It's a COVID. Don't do your business. I mean, I don't understand double kind of COVID. The COVID is a COVID. Whether you have 1,000 people gather to loot, or 1,000 people gather to pray, or 500 people in a gym. How can it be too different? It's just beyond me.
I agree with you, but what is happening is you are comparing one particular instance or maybe something that happened for 2 3 days with a regular functioning of New York. But let us move beyond this, because I understand New York is primarily a democratic state, and there has been differences between New York governor and mayor with President Trump in handling of pandemic also, and that might take more time for both of us to understand each other each other more, which is
See,
not
when
as
you say
relevant.
scientific,
Hmm.
Ashokji, when you say scientific, let me tell you, the fundamental mistake done by the New York governor, which we didn't repeat. We have most generic population, geriatric population in state of Florida, more than New York. He had no experience what is the meaning of nursing homes, assisted living facility. He put the COVID patient back into that facility and get infected. That's why your death rate is a crazy. Where is the science? Excuse me. New York has a 19.5 million people. You have a scientist. You follow the scientist's instruction. It failed. You put the actually coronavirus patients in back. That inquiry needs to take place eventually, and it will come out. Believe me or not, I'm talking thousands of deaths because of negligence. Look at our governor, Ron DeSantis. He understood the population. First thing he did was to protect them. And that's how you run the state. You don't tell a coronavirus guy to go back and live in a facility, don't go anywhere else. And most of the patients were dying. So it is a question of a leadership. It's not a question of a pandemic. Pandemic is just there by itself.
Yeah.
How you handle, what leadership take the step, that's how it gets done, sir.
So allow me to sort of add one more dimension while we compare for Florida and New York. The population density of New York is much more. The number of inflow of foreign tourists everyday basis to New York is different than as it is in Florida. But we'll move to other subject for now, and probably some other day we'll come back come back to comparing New York and Florida.
Sure.
As a hotelier, you know much more about all these things than many common folks. But I like the catchy campaign with which you came up. That is, Trump hai to safe hai, and you have been consistently championing support for President Trump. Talking about safety under President Trump, and what do you see is likely to be different under if there is another president from Democratic Party to the White House?
So I can start from international and bring it to local, if you don't mind. Is that okay? So if you look at the international, very basic thing happened. I'll start with my country. That's my motherland, India, because I came from there. So naturally, that's my international biggest concern. China attacked India, actually. It just attacked again. You just saw it again. Who stood by you? The President Trump, not the Congress, democratically elected. Okay? Terrorism, who stood by you? President Trump. Who sent the most F-35 in the time of a need? Can you imagine if the president would have waited for a democratically majority Congress to take a decision to help India overnight because China was there? I can tell you thousands of lives would have been lost. So that is why Trump hai to safe hai. He understands the internal security of India. He didn't meddle with the Pakistan and Kashmir and India. Here, just to get a certain community votes, you immediately open your mouth and start talking, oh, we are watching you, we're gonna take care of Kashmir. What do you mean by take care of Kashmir? Who gives a right even to the President Trump or anybody to meddle in India's work? They have no right to interfere in Indian matter. The first thing to just get a cheap votes, they enter into Indian politics because they thought they will please the Islamic people. But Islamic people are not stupid either. They know This is all rhetoric they're doing to get the votes. So that's, I'm gonna say, international. They didn't meddle with India and all that. These people not even elected, and they start telling us what to do. I am tired of a white man telling me for last 200 years what to do. India is free. India has its own country. India knows how to handle. If you're our friend, be friend. When you need it, we help. When we need you help. You're not going to tell us how to conduct our affair. This is the attitude number one from the Democratic Party. They want to tell you what you're going to do. No, India is a free nation. That's one, international. Coming to the local, Trump hai to safe hai. Coronavirus by itself. He stopped China against entire world's criticism. Entire Europe country criticized, all democratic leader criticized. And he said, nope, I will not let the Chinese people come here on a plane load and I will stop. What more a president can do? That's one. Number two, he kept our Florida open because Florida is a Republican. Believe me or not, in a March month, when the pandemic was declared as a pandemic, our biggest problem was occupancy in April. Our hotel occupancy from 90%, 80% dropped to 12%. That's not only about hotel. Restaurants I own, shut down. We own bars, restaurant, car wash. If you shut down everything, I understand because this is the first incident in my life also. But you have to evaluate. What is the death rate? When you're talking pandemic, I read and I saw some movies, 40% population was dead, D-E-A-D. You don't even 0.1. And you cannot compare that pandemic with that 1317 or something huge pandemic where the 50% population of the world was wiped out. So when I say media, I don't mean by ITV Gold or TV Asia or ZTV or Sony TV. No, sir. I'm talking about the main media who has 180 country covering for America. They are the most disgraced media I have ever seen, who condemn their own country president, own people, and they tell me, yes, it's good to go ahead and loot and arson, and they call summer of love. Sir, if somebody burned down your business, which is built for all hard work 30 years, and you're gonna call me, this is a summer of love of the people, they got to be shameful. They don't deserve to be the leadership. So when the Trump even send the troops, they won't let them in. If the Trump is hai, to hum safe hai. India bhi safe hai, America bhi safe hai, hamara business bhi safe hai. My everything else is safe. So everything is safe. That's why I came with the idea that Trump hai to safe hai. Very simple. Whether it's a coronavirus, he protected us. Whether it's a looting and arsoning, he protected us. So what else do you want from a president? If the governor don't let that troops and the mayor doesn't want police to do nothing, they stand by.
Let me, I think, absolutely. You make a very good point and you have articulated it very well. And let me connect it with the Black Lives Matter movement. And then also, which was followed by different kind of reactions. One idea which we heard was defund the police. And that also came across as something very unsettling and I must admit scary in some places. If you do not have effective law and order machinery to protect you, then how can you be safe? So I side by you in looking at this idea. You want to sort of dive deep into the very idea of um, taking away the strength from police, which was floated, and the logic, but also connect with, is Black Lives Matter movement going to adversely affect the political strength of President Trump?
So, look, I believe in a true democracy. America has a true democracy. If somebody wants to do peaceful talking, they should do it. There is no reason we should suppress the voice of the people. But if the same people are ready to damage somebody else's property, they have equal same rights to protect their property. So who's gonna protect our property? I'm sleeping at my house. They can go and ransack my restaurants, my hotels, bars. I'm dependent on a local law enforcement. So if you tell my law enforcement, whether it's my mayor, which handles the local police, and with the sheriff, they handle the county. If my sheriff and local police don't protect me because they have order from the politician, those politicians are nothing but a rogue. They have an idea of nothing. They're taking government salaries and they have no clue how to build the businesses. They never build them. Look at the example of President Trump. He has built one after another empire. When I came in 1987, I went to see the Trump Taj Mahal. Everybody took me, all Indian took me with the pride to show an Atlantic City. Mr. Biden, I have nothing against him. I have met him personally here in Ocala with his son, with my sons, and I can show you he stayed at my hotel for 3 days. He's a gentleman. But you know, this is a pandemic, which is equivalent to a war situation. Economic war is there. And the third largest war is a media war. The main media has a big war with the President Trump. What I read in the books, that General Patton was not very mild with his manner. He was direct with his order. He was not very mild manners with the ladies. I just read, I was not there. But he had an ability to defend the country. This is what I see in a Trump, which is the lack of Biden. 47 years you stayed, buddy. What did you do? Nothing. So how I believe you in next 4 years you're gonna do? Look at his first step toward Indian American. This show is more about Indian American. He want to meddle in a Kashmir right away. He want to meddle in a CAA. I mean, come on, buddy, you take care of your house. People are looting, arsoning, and you're sleeping and you're worried about Kashmir. I mean, that is where the lack of leadership comes. You got to have a leadership quality. He has no leadership ever shown in a 47 years. How he's gonna sell me? Tell me, how? This president has solved the problems in 71 years. Nobody solved in the Middle East. 4 countries came together. We used to do simple parties in the White House about talk and it was all covered. No media is ready to cover it. You know why? Because that's an accomplishment. So these are the issues we have with the Democratic leaders and their voters. So if you look at it, defund police, can I ask you, if I call 911, you want a community worker to pick up a phone? Like President Obama was a community worker. Say, hello, sir, how can I help you? Oh my, I have a looting and arsoning. Hold on, let me see. The police and the law enforcement is trained for that day. Hope it never happens. But if that day happen, how? Who's gonna defend us? So me, in Florida, we believe in our Second Amendment. This amendment is not given by Republican or Democrat. It's given by the founding fathers to protect your life, liberty. So we have a guns and we have gun range. I'm not breaking any law. If any guy who breaks a law having a gun, it is as equal as guy having a car. With a car, I can kill 4 people. With the gun, I can kill. So this is a wrong comparison. Second Amendment, I stand by. I'm a defender of Second Amendment. We need, when the leaders fail, the law enforcement, that is why me as a head of my family, I have right to defend my family with my gun. That is the time that gun is used.
So I think you are looking at both sides. If the leadership fails, then you have the right to protect. But at the same time, you consider that President Trump is the one who's going to be helpful in strengthening overall safe environment. And looking at the time constraint, we'll move to 2-3 more points quickly. And you have known President Trump as well as Vice President Mike Pence closely. He was with you in May recently also. We have seen White House opening up with a lot of continuation of firing of many people from White House. So there was initial impression that the kind of harmony which you would like to see from a leadership was not there. And yet we have seen economy doing well. So there are both sides to it. First, let's talk about the leadership skill personally as you have seen in President Trump.
So I'll go back to your question. The president is firing people. That's what we do in a business, son. We don't keep giving you free salary. You maybe have a great resume, doesn't mean you are a great manager. We hire you from your resume, you fail to perform, we tell you, buddy, go home. This is what the good leader does. He keep employing and trying. The bad CEO keep hanging out with the bad employees for the long time, and the bad results comes out. So that answers your question. Our Governor Rick Scott, he had changed 9 chief of the staff. You know why? Either they burned out or what they thought they were, you have to change it. There is only one president. So remember, the turnover has your different way to look at it. If it's a socialism, of course, you want to keep them job. Oh my God, what happened to? But this is a protecting country. This is running a $21 trillion company, 20 times larger than the nearest company in the world. We need to change. It's called business agile. You don't want a leader who is totally dependent on his staff and they're taking him to the tube. I saw in 2008 personally with my eyes, and I experienced. When the main recession hit, President Obama couldn't do nothing. Look at my President Trump. He immediately acted in a favor of smallest businessman, from one employee, self-employee, worker, to the 1,000 people employee or 10,000 people. He put the stimulus package out. Not only put stimulus package out, he put PPP, which that's where we all survive. Even a small business, the restaurant. That is where the leadership come. They were looking, they were assessing. This is not the time looking, assessing. You take a decision. A history will judge you. If you are a coward, you will not take a good decision. A bad CEO is always warming his seat and giving a reason. A good CEO, he takes a decision. Good, bad, or ugly, the time will tell.